In the cold, snowy wilderness of northern Alaska, where the land seemed to go on forever in white, Adam Cooper stood all by himself. His breath made little clouds in the freezing air as he stared at the small hole in the ice, where his fishing line hung down into the icy water. It was a normal day for Adam, an experienced fisherman who found peace and food in these faraway places. His weathered face, shaped by years and tough conditions, was focused. His gloved hands skillfully held the fishing rod, waiting for the slightest pull that would mean a catch. Around him, the world was a frozen paradise of snow-covered trees and shining ice, untouched by people. As he stood there, lost in thought and the rhythm of fishing, he didn't notice the huge shadow quietly moving toward him. The bear, a massive creature with frost-covered fur, moved gracefully despite its size. It was both beautiful and terrifying, a top predator of the frozen north. Adam first realized something was wrong when the usual soft wind suddenly stopped, leaving an unsettling silence. The strange quiet made him look up from his fishing hole. What he saw made his heart race. A giant bear, just 10 feet away, staring right at him. Time seemed to slow as Adam's mind raced through his few options. Running wasn't possible, the bear could easily catch him. Fighting was useless, he couldn't beat such a strong animal. Instinctively, Adam did the only thing he could. He stood perfectly still. His eyes met the bear's, and he could see his own fear in its deep, dark eyes. The bear's breath, visible in the cold air, came out in calm puffs, while Adam's breathing was fast and shallow. For what felt like an eternity, man and beast stood frozen in this surreal tableau. Adam's heart pounded in his chest, the sound loud in his ears against the backdrop of silence. Every second dragged on, each heartbeat a reminder of the fragile thread upon which his life hung. Then, as if by some silent agreement, the bear broke the spell. With a slow, deliberate movement, it turned away from Adam and began to walk back toward the dense forest from which it had emerged. Adam watched, his body still rigid with tension, as the massive creature disappeared into the trees. It was only after the bear was completely out of sight that Adam allowed himself to breathe again. The rush of relief was so intense that his knees nearly buckled beneath him. He let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding and blinked rapidly, trying to process what had just happened. The icy wilderness, so serene and indifferent, had just shown him a glimpse of its unpredictable and dangerous side. Yet it also revealed the unspoken bond that exists between all creatures that share this harsh environment. In that moment of mutual recognition, there had been a strange understanding between Adam and the bear. As Adam packed up his gear to head home, he couldn't shake his awe and gratitude. The terrifying encounter with the bear had deepened his respect for the wild, reminding him he was only a visitor in the bear's territory. Back at his cabin, warmed by the fire, he shared the story with his friends, who listened in amazement. Adam's tale of survival and respect for nature quickly became legend, retold for years as part of local lore, symbolizing the beauty and balance of the wild. Adam himself never forgot that day. It remained etched in his memory as a turning point, a moment when he truly understood his place in the vast, untamed wilderness. And though he continued to fish in those icy waters, he did so with a renewed sense of humility and reverence, forever changed by his unbelievable encounter with the bear. Years after the incident, Adam found himself once again in the icy wilderness. But this time, he was not alone.
Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more heartwarming stories.
He had brought along a young journalist, Brittany, who had heard of his legendary encounter and was eager to document it firsthand. She had convinced Adam to guide her along the same path he had taken that fateful day, hoping to capture the essence of his story in its natural setting. As they trudged through the snow, Adam recounted the details of that day, his voice steady but filled with emotion. Brittany, equipped with her camera and notepad, hung on his every word, occasionally pausing to take photographs of the breathtaking landscape. The snow-covered trees and the vast expanse of white seemed to tell their own stories of survival and resilience. Adam led Brittany to the exact spot where he had been fishing. The ice hole was long gone, covered by fresh layers of snow, but the memory remained vivid in his mind. He pointed to where the bear had emerged from the forest and described the sheer size and presence of the creature. Brittany listened intently, her imagination painting a vivid picture of the scene. As they stood there, a movement caught Adam's eye. His heart skipped a beat, a flash of déjà vu washing over him. But this time, it was not a bear that approached them, but a family of deer. Their delicate hooves barely made a sound on the snow. The deer paused for a moment, their large, dark eyes observing the two humans before them. Then, as if satisfied that there was no threat, they continued their graceful journey across the frozen landscape. Brittany captured the moment with her camera, the click of the shutter breaking the serene silence. She turned to Adam, her eyes shining with excitement. "This place is magical," she said softly, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. Adam nodded, a smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. "It is," he agreed. "It's a place that commands respect and humility. Every encounter here, whether with a bear or a deer, is a reminder of how small we are in the grand scheme of things." As they made their way back to the cabin, Brittany couldn't help but feel a deep sense of admiration for Adam. His connection to the wilderness was profound, rooted in years of experience and a deep respect for nature. She knew that his story would resonate with many, not just as a tale of survival, but as a testament to the beauty and unpredictability of the natural world. Back at the cabin, Adam stoked the fire while Brittany reviewed her notes and photographs. The warmth from the fire slowly thawed the chill from their bones, and the cozy interior of the cabin contrasted sharply with the harshness of the outside world. Adam brewed a pot of coffee, the rich aroma filling the small space, and they settled in for the evening. As they sipped their coffee, Adam shared more stories of his adventures in the wilderness. Each tale was filled with vivid details and a sense of reverence for the land and its inhabitants. Brittany listened, captivated by his words, and she could see why his encounter with the bear had become legendary. It wasn't just the danger and the fear that made the story compelling, but the underlying message of respect and coexistence. Adam's stories painted a picture of a man who had found his place in the world, not by conquering nature, but by understanding and respecting it. He spoke of the changing seasons, the migration patterns of animals, and the delicate balance of the ecosystem. His knowledge was vast, but it was his humility that left the deepest impression on Brittany. As the night wore on, Brittany realized that her article would be more than just a recounting of Adam's encounter with the bear. It would be a tribute to the wisdom and spirit of a man who had dedicated his life to understanding the wilderness. It would capture the essence of his journey, not just as in the cold, snowy wilderness of northern Alaska, where the land seemed to go on forever in white, Adam Cooper stood all by himself. His breath made little clouds in the freezing air as he stared at the small hole in the ice, where his fishing line hung down into the icy water. It was a normal day for Adam, an experienced fisherman who found peace and food in these faraway places. His weathered face, shaped by years and tough conditions, was focused. His gloved hands skillfully held the fishing rod, waiting for the slightest pull that would mean a catch. Around him, the world was a frozen paradise of snow-covered trees and shining ice, untouched by people. As he stood there, lost in thought and the rhythm of fishing,